to everybody. Good morning. I thank you all members of Sydenham, Chorea for invitation and the opportunity you gave me to share our experience, the experience of our family, which I am going to tell you now.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay. Our family consists of 5 people, my husband Maurizio and I, along with 3 children, Nicole, Giulia and Daniele. We live in Pordenone, in a small, Pordenone is a small town. Oh. Just a moment, okay. Pordenone is a small town in northern Italy. You see about 60,000 people, residents, which is about a 1 hour drive from Venice. In August 2013, our daughter Giulia, who was 7 years old at the time, started showing subtle symptoms that come and went away for about 10 days. We first noticed oddities in speech. She had a different tone of voice and behavior. She laughs and cries easier, and in movement. She moved the legs and arms somehow differently. The day after all this suddenly worsened, we were referred to the local hospital, which has a child section, and where we know the head physician, being my husband, employed in the same hospital. In my family, both my parents and my sister had rheumatic fever with arthritis, though nobody had experienced Sydenham Chorea. We had never heard about Sydenham's Chorea before our daughter got sick. Our physician suspected the condition as soon as he saw our daughter. He told us it could have been either Sydenham's Chorea or a tick syndrome. The clinical diagnosis was confirmed a couple of days later, and some other tests were performed. Anti-streptolysine or titer, inflammation parameters, echocardiogram, electroencephalogram, and an MRI scan. Giulia was admitted for the clinical examination, test, and watching in a regimen of day hospital in 2 subsequent days. And here you can see also the echocardiography room, which is something special in Pordenone. The clinicians found no cardiac involvement, and the physician prescribed then a brief course of antibiotic, 10 days of amoxicillin and clavulanic acid, because my daughter had also a sinusitis at that time. And then and it was followed by some years of oral antibiotic prophylaxis. We were recommended to be extremely adherent to the prophylaxis because it was oral and not parenteral, and she needed to take the medicine twice daily, and the medicine should be administered on an empty stomach. We stopped the antibiotic according to a child cardiologist because she had no evidence of carditis 5 years later. And we had no immunosuppressant prescriptions, no neurological medicaments. And both physiatric and neuropsychiatric evaluation was prescribed. when in the following days and at least for 2 weeks, all the families, we were all scared for this time, especially during a short period of time when Julia could not speak. She had 2 days in which she could not speak. And then she slowly recovered and spent most of her time in the sofa or in a stroller. Yeah, is the stroller we got from services, and which has also this aid to have a meal or to write, to try to draw something. So you can see now a short video. So though she was not able to write well or speak or walk, she always expressed the desire to reach her schoolmates and to reach again school. And so before Julia went back to school, about a month later, a meeting was organized with all parents of her schoolmates. At this meeting, our community pediatrician explained the condition and reassured that there was no risk for the other schoolmates. And she explains to parents also how to report to their children Julia's condition and have an open dialogue with them. And in that occasion, also we could express and share with the other parents our worries, and we felt the nearness and the solidarity of them. At school, Julia got an adapted timetable, only 4 hours instead of 5 hours, and had adapted activities, and there was a teacher who came for some hours every week with her. And at school, Julia felt integrated, and also in the afternoon, some friends from school visit her and spend some times together. And we gain also financial support, which allow us to fully cover the needs we had at that time. Instead, we face some problems with medication and aids. The antibiotic for oral prophylaxis is no more produced in Italy and must be imported. The official procedure to import the medicine involves the Italian Navy to import on behalf of the Italian health system. But meanwhile, we were invited to buy it on our own. And for the first months, we bought it in Slovenia. And then the medicine was regularly imported from Switzerland. And we get every 3 months 10 bottles of these oral suspensions. And after 3 years, Julia decided on her home to switch to the easier 4-week penicillin injection. And we were about to leave, at that time, we were about to leave for a 20 days journey abroad, and she didn't want to engage twice daily with the oral therapy. To be given the injection, she was referred to the nurses of the local pediatric assistants who have a wide experience with children. And Injections were in any case challenging, and often she felt pain and discomfort for some days after the injection. In Italy, penicillin injections are not formulated with anesthetics like in our countries. Aids were also challenging. We were prescribed a walker and later on an adapted desk and chair. These aids were delivered nearly a year after, when Julia was already recovered. Instead, she used a walker for all people, which belonged to her great aunt. And when the aids finally arrived, we signed to donate them. Within 4 months, Julia recovered. She started playing sport and approached rhythmic gymnastics, and practicing sport has been for her a very good way to cope throughout these years. Yeah, is she playing? Some years later. And also last year. She enjoys very much of movement to be normal again. Okay. For my husband and me, it was difficult to understand and cope with all the changes, and not only at the beginning, also later on, every small sign of relapse worried us. We also have difficulties within our family, especially to cope with the other children's behavior and the worries, and for which we were not offered a support. For us, it was not clear also the evolution of the condition, and we felt a strong need of such information. The information for parents in the Sydenham Chorea Association website helped us a lot. There was a complete information guide describing the many aspects of the condition and the possible evolution with detailed referrals for support. And so we came in touch with the association and translated the guide for the Italian public. This was in 2015. So you can find it in the website. Also on July 2018, we met in York with Nadine Mouchet and Dr. Michael Morton. And in Italy, a support for parents has apparently not been structured yet. We have no sign of support for this condition. And in Italy exists a variability of approaches and treatments that seems to coexist, and research appears to be only sporadic, with a few institutions coming together to explore into the condition. So Julia feels well now. Headache, which was frequent the first years, has ceased. Some relapses we notice the first following years appears now to be over, and some difficulties in concentrating are now of only some time of concern. She still plays and competes in rhythmic gymnastics. On the whole, Julia reported about this condition as a feeling of having lived in another world. So advice we would like to give also to other families starting this journey is to care to build an alliance with people in their environment, as well as with institution, I mean healthcare professionals, teacher and school staff, as well as services for disability. And in our opinion, information should be part of the care process, and care should be extended also to brothers and sisters of the child affected, because everybody in the family needs to cope with condition and to be encouraged to find her his best way to cope. So sharing experience among families could be something new in Italy, as you do in Scotland, and possibility it could help to arouse awareness of the condition that looks orphan in our country. So here we are with our physician, who we wish to thank a lot, with all professionists, teachers, relatives and friends who helped us. And we are sharing with him a brief story we wrote, and that you can find in the website, Sydenham's Chorea website. And now I thank you everybody for participating and for your attention.
Oh, that was wonderful, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. That was
welcome.
And Emmanuel, the book is fantastic. I would highly recommend having a look at that on our charity webpage. It's beautifully written and illustrated, and it's definitely a well worth read. Okay. So we're going to move on now. We're going to skip the break because we're terribly running over. But I think if people want to nip out, that's absolutely fine. We're going to move on to